Okay, we've made our little circle or donut or disc or wheel, whatever you want to call it. And I've actually made a smaller one because I thought, why not, right? Why not? But if you just want to do the one, it's the same concept. See, what I would do is just make one of these bales and put around the center, and then I'd make another one to put around the top. So, you know, if you just want to make the one, make the one. If you want to make, if you want to do the two, it's the same, same concept. So right now we're going to make a bale. So let's pick up 4 seed beads, 11 seed beads, that is. Bring them down to the stop bead. And I've got a whole new, of course, with a stop bead on, length of thread. And leave a tail to sew in. And come up through that bottom bead closest to the stop bead. And pull down. And there's our right angle weave unit. Alright, so we want to come down this side bead. Pick up 3 11 seed beads. Coming out this bead. Go the opposite way, chasing your thread through that same bead. Okay? And then we want to go make a right angle weave. To the bottom of those units. Now we're coming out the bottom bead of that unit. Pick up 3 11 seed beads. Come out that side. Go the opposite side of that 11 seed bead you're coming out of. Okay, and then we're going to come down that side bead of that unit. Come down the bottom bead of that unit. Come up the left side bead of that unit. And go through the bottom bead of the next unit over. Okay, now let's look at that unit. Let's look at what we got. We've got 2 units on top. It gets confusing, because they all seem to go in together, but anyway, we got 2 units on top. We've got 1 unit on the bottom, and we got a half unit because we got 2 beads. Alright, so pick up 2 beads. So there's 4 beads to a unit. And come up that side bead of the previous unit. Right like that. Okay. Now we're going to go, we're always working in right angles. This way, this way, this way, this, right angles. So go through that top bead. It'd be easier if I could move this around for myself, but it's easier for you if I hold it the same way every time. Okay. Now we're coming through the top bead of that unit. We need to come down the side bead of that unit. Now we need to come through the bottom bead of that unit. Oops, got my tail. There we go. And now, oops, I went through 2. I only want that bottom bead of that left unit. Okay, there we are. Okay, so we've only got 1 bead out of the 4, so that means we got to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads. We're coming out of one side of that bead, bottom bead of the left unit. We just want to needle through the opposite side of that same bead that we're coming out of, just like we have done before. Not real good with my left hand. And not only am I right-handed, but I am missing a knuckle on the left side. It got crushed. And then we want to come down through that side bead of the left unit. What we're doing is just working our way around these units so that we can add another unit. So now we've got the top bead of a unit and the left bead of a unit. We need the bottom bead and the right bead. So we'll pick up 2. Okay, and we'll come through that top bead. And then we'll come down the side bead. There it is. Come down to the side bead, and then we got to come either left or right. It doesn't matter to start our next row of units. Each row has 2 units. It's easier than making a long strand and then coming back the other side trying to sew them. It's easier. It is easier this way. I tried both ways. So now we're going to add we're going to do the same thing until we get a strip that is depending on whether, okay, if you're using it to say sew 2 of these circles together, it's got to be about this length, which is, let me mark, 19 rows. Okay, so we've already, and you can count them by counting the side beads here. 1, 2, 3. We've made 3 rows. You need 19. Alright, so make your 19 rows. But if you want it to hook onto a leather cord, see how small this cord is? You might want to make it about 16 rows. Okay, make it a little smaller. Alright, everybody have that? Alright, make your 19 rows or 16 rows. Come back and we'll do the next part. Alright, we're back, and I had to do this video in 2 parts because I still have quite a bit left to go through, and it would be days to upload if not. So we've got our 16 units made for our bale, our 16 rows of 2 right angle weave units. Now we want to, we're coming out one of the ends. Let's just make a right angle and go down through the first 11 on the side. And what we're going to do is put 15 O's in between each of the 11 O's along the sides. So pick up a 15 O, go through the next 11 O, pick up a 15 O, go through the next 11 O, pick up a 15 O, go through the next 11 O, pick up a 15 O, go through the next 11 O. Alright, so do that all the way down. Come back and I will, get you over to the next side. Okay, we came down the side. See how it bunches up? All you have to do is just give it a little, not a pull, but, just a little bit, and it'll straighten right out. Make sure you keep it nice and loose the whole time we're working with this. Alright, so we've come, we don't want to put we gotta close this bale. So we don't want to put the beads in the corners yet. So we gotta work our way around to the next side. So we'll come through this. I'm coming out this last bead on that row. We'll come through this top bead. We'll come down the side bead. Let's see. Keep it pulled tight or pulled straight. See, we'll come down through the side bead. We need to somehow turn around. We'll come down through where we will come down through that bottom or that top of that unit there. We'll go down through. I'm going to turn it around. I'll come down through this. Make sure you keep pulling it straight every time. Let's see. Let me figure out a path here. See, we'll come down. Yeah, I'm not. I'll have to go up through this. Do this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it all the way up here. So I'm just going back in the same exact. When we add those top beads, we can just come down and finish off that 1 or 2. When we connect them and then add the seed beads in the corners, I should have thought of that before I went clear around, but that's alright. So we're coming up on that side. We'll go through that here. And then we'll just come down through this one and start from there. If I had time, if I wasn't on video, I would figure it out, but it's probably a lot more work than really what we needed to do. So make sure you keep pulling it, flattening it out, or straightening that, keeping that side straight. And just come down this whole side here, filling in the gaps with 15-0s. Picking up a 15-0 and going down through the next 11-0, the next 11-0. Alright, so go all the way to the bottom, come back, we'll do the next step. Okay, we're done coming out of this bead at the end of our strip of what will soon be our bail. And we are going to embellish. So we're coming out the end. Let's come down through that last bead on the very tippy top and see it still wants to pull, so make sure you keep it straight. And we're going to pick up a 2mm. I'm using the pearls. There we go. We're coming down out of this 11-0. We're going to jump over and come down through the 11-0 directly adjacent or across from it, and pull, and that'll pop that little 2mm right in place. So we're going to pick up another 2mm pearl, and we're coming out right here. I'm going to jump over to that bead, but we're going to come the same way our thread's coming out. Our thread needs to be coming out. So we'll go through the top and pop that little pearl right in its place. At the same time, make sure your beads aren't pulling along the sides. Pick up a 2mm, coming out here. You're going to jump over here. And add that pearl. Okay, one more together. Pick up a 2mm, coming out here. I'm going to jump over to the opposite bead, and make sure your needle goes through the same way every time. Trying to make sure your pearls end up straight. Alright, so go all the way down, come back, and I'll get you started on the next row. Alright, we've got this side put on. Now, I'm holding my tail, get my tail thread out of the way. Alright, we're coming out of this top bead. So we want to make a right angle down into the side bead. Try not to pull too tight. And then we'll go up into this side bead. And we'll go into this top bead. The way we're holding it, it's the top bead, but it's actually the side. And we'll come come down into this bead. And then we will make sure everything's loose. And we'll just start picking up our 2 millimeters, coming down. It'll come down through the bead right across from it. Pull. Make sure that's popped in place tightly. And we'll pick up the next 2 millimeter. No, there's the dogs. And we'll jump over. We're coming out here. We'll jump over here. We just always got to make sure our thread's coming out the same direction. Alright? So, continue to do this row. Just like we've been doing. Come back and we'll do the next step. Okay, I've got both rows completed. Put the 2 millimeters on our bail. And I just thought about something. Now, if you don't want to do this part, you can skip it. But I thought these would be beautiful little 3 millimeter Swarovski Montes in between these 4. So that's what I'm going to try. If you don't want to, all you have to do is skip forward, and then we will be connecting this bail, finishing off the corners with the 15-0s, and of course around our circle, and then adding our leather. But right now I'm going to go ahead and add these Montes. So I'm coming out of this top bead. I'm just going to go ahead and come down through that Monte. I wonder why that's on. Well, okay. Here we go. Or come down through that 2 millimeter bead. Then I'm going to pick up my Monte. It's got like a cross or an X on the back. So we'll bring that down. And go down through this 2 millimeter on the diagonal from the 2 millimeter we're coming out of. And pull. Pop that in there. Then we'll have to work our way over to this or this bead so we can come across these 2. So I think it would probably be better to come up this side. 11-0. Remember, we're working in right angles still to work our way around. I didn't want that 15-0. Just the 11-0. There. See that? Come up. It might be better to do this on the back. See where we're going. So I want to get to here. So first of all, I'm going to bring my thread to the back. And then I'm going to come through this seed bead. I'm working on this right angle weave unit right here. And then I'm going to come up the side bead of that unit. And then I'm going to come across the top bead. Okay. And then I'm going to come into that 2 millimeter bead. There's the hole. And then I'm going to find that opening in the Monty. There we go. I'm going to come diagonal through the Monty. And then I'm going to come through this. I don't want to pull it down so tight that it's moving my beads, but there we go. Then I want to come down through this 2mm bead. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's going to be pretty. To do that all the way around, all the way down. Okay, sorry about that. The neighborhood's just really bustling and people are working and we're having fun beading. So, okay, so I just put my last embellishment on and I'm actually, fortunately, coming out of this 11-0. We need to put our 15-0. Remember where we skipped because we couldn't get worked around. We just add that right now. Just pop that in there. Alright, so we gotta move our tail thread out of the way. And let's go ahead and come through that end bead, one of those end beads. And let's put our bail or our component, go ahead and put it through the ring. And let me get my bearings here. Okay, so I'm coming through. So I'm going to pick up one 11-0 seed bead. These 11-0s. So 15-0s. Let me grab my 11-0s. Yep. Alright, so we're coming out of this 11-0. We're going to pick up one 11-0. And we're going to, because we're coming out on the inside, we got to go through the inside of that 11-0, exactly opposite the one we're coming out. And pull, and we pick up 11-0. Alright, and we're going to come back through this 11-0 on our component that we were originally coming out of. Pull, and that adds a unit. Now we want to come up this side bead of the unit we just made in the center and make a left into that 11-0 at the top of this unit that we're going to build. And we have a side bead, a top bead, and a bottom bead. We only need one bead. Let's just pick up one 11-0 and we're going to come back through this top bead or what bead on the component that was already there, and that adds our two. Now you can either embellish those as we did. Here, let me put 2mm. Coming down out this way, we'll go ahead and jump over and come down like that. Pick up a 2mm. No, not yet. Wait a minute. We gotta work our way over. We got to come back down this side bead and this bottom bead here. So we can add our second 2mm. Let's see. Coming out of the bottom or the side there, we're going to go up through and add that 2mm, pop that right in place there. And we'll probably have to fill in 15/0. So let's go down through that side bead. I hope you guys just can see this. Pick up a 15/0. And go down through that next 11/0. Okay. And then we got to make our way over to the next side and up there. And this is going to be kind of tricky. We've got to find our components underneath all this. A little right angle weave. Let's go. There. See if you can see underneath, it would be easier. Just try to follow that right angle weave unit. I don't know why I didn't go down through and put those on. I'm just going to come up under here, or through that 2mm. Come through that bead. Come up through that bead. We just have to work our way around here. Come up through that bead. Do that bead, do that bead. I'm working my way through these right angles. Then I'm going to hang right here, right along the edge. All that to put in these little tiny 2mm beads along the edge. Once we get these beads in, once we get these 15/0s in, then we can start tying our half-hitch knots all along the edge of this component, this bail. So we'll tie them before the 11/0s, so that way, because 15/0s would be hard to, if you try to put a knot up in there. So go under thread bridge, pull down a small hoop, and then go through that 11-0 and that 15-0. Thread bridge, needle through that small loop, guide your thread down in between the right two beads, and then come through that 11-0 and 15-0. Alright, so we've got a couple of tail threads we have to sew in here. So finish doing that, tying off, finish this one, and then your tail thread here. Come back and we'll start with the leather. Okay, here I've cut 13 inches of mud leather cording, and I've cut 6 feet total of the wax linen cord and folded it in half. Now I need to attach the wax linen to the leather cord. We're going to do that using a silk wrap, using the wax linen cord itself. So I'm going to cut a couple feet of the wax linen cord, and I'm going to take one end, make a loop with the leg has to be hanging down. That we have to use that in the end to pull the other side of the cord up into the wrap to form our closure. So we just lay our two pieces together that we want to connect, and we lay that loop up the top, and we want to wrap in the direction of the loop, and we want to leave that little tail hanging because we're going to need to use that. So start wrapping your wax linen, wrap it very neatly towards the direction of the loop. Just keep wrapping. We want to leave ourselves enough on the end to connect our crimps to the leather. So don't wrap clear to the end of the leather. Leave a little spot. You want to take the end of your wrapping thread and put it through the loop, and then you want to take your tail. Here I'm cutting some of it off because it was so long. So put it through the loop, and then you want to pull that tail thread, and that'll pull that loop and that thread up under your wrap. Pull it up into your wrap, up under your wrap, and then you want to pull on both ends, and then you can knot it. And then you can cut the cord. Alright, now that we've got our cords connected,
We want to take one of the strands and start wrapping it around the leather. And like I said, it's got a wax, it's coated in wax, so it'll kind of stick to the leather better than the nylon cord did. Just try to wrap at the same interval, the same space. Next, you're going to want to put something on it to hold it. A little clip would be fine. And then you want to take your next strand and wrap it around your leather. I kind of wrapped it to form X's. And you wrap it all the way down to the bottom. And when Okay, we've wrapped both of our strands, and we did the same thing on the second end that we did on the first end. Alright, exact same thing. And now we need to put on our little crimps on the end of our leather. All you do is lay it in there and squeeze down on the sides. It's a little fiddly, especially because that leather's there so close. This one I have a great deal of trouble with, but perseverance gets us there. I have to go get another one because that one's been up so bad.